want to be a healthy mama? Do you want to eat well, not let cravings control you? Do you want to choose foods that fuel your body well for all that you do in a day? Are you wishing to find food freedom? Do you wish that you were confident in your body and had a positive body image? In today's episode of the Renewed Mama podcast, we are learning to love our body and to fuel it well. You're listening to the Renewed Mama podcast. I'm Kimberly Mutar, and I help mamas like you stay renewed. Renewed in your thoughts that are on repeat while you wash dishes or scrub the toilets. Renewed in the words you say to yourself and to your children when it's the best day ever and when it spirals into chaos and temper tantrums. Renewed in how you respond so that you keep showing up as the mama you want to be. But wait, mama, there is more of you to renew than just your thoughts, words, and responses. You are a whole person. In order to renew all of you as a mom, you must renew your health and your home environment. When you take care of yourself, exercise, eat well to fuel your body, get good sleep, stay hydrated, and laugh and have fun, your energy and stamina grows. You feel more engaged and present with your kids. You show up for your husband, and you have a more resilient, positive mom mindset. That's why I've been doing the Renew Your Health series every Thursday. If you didn't catch the other episodes in the Renew Your Health series, go to the show notes. I have shared them all there. Binge listen to them while you fold laundry or wash the dishes. My guest today is Jess Brown, a registered dietitian who started out with an eating disorder, but fell in love with how God has intricately designed our bodies. When overcoming a disordered relationship with food, she learned how to eat intentionally without being obsessive and how to incorporate play as exercise. The result was loads more energy, resiliency, and feeling at peace in her body. Jess is a wife, mama, and a whole body health and nutrition research junkie. She is the podcast host of Fuel Her Awesome, and she is not afraid to talk about poo and eating empowered to have more energy, a clear mind, great sleep, and agile, limber bodies. I know you are going to enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Renewed Mama podcast, Jess. I'm just so excited for our conversation today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kimberly. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, well, I want to dive right into food. I love food. You love food, right? But tell us, what does food freedom mean? What does that look like in your life? How did you get to the place where you found food freedom, and what should that look like in our lives?
That's a great question. So I think if you would have asked me that question like 5 years ago and then 10 years ago, like the answer would have been a little bit different. But I think where I finally landed with like, what is food freedom? It is hopping off this pendulum swing with food. And I think there's like this spectrum of how we eat. There's this like very focused, very like hyper vigilant state of eating that might be like following an extreme diet. Maybe it turns into like some disordered eating, orthorexia, which is like obsession with healthy eating and fear of like the food chemicals. So there's this hyper vigilant side of eating. And then there's this kind of on the other end of the spectrum, there's this like, I don't give a rat's kind of eating. Yeah. Like, I don't care. Like, I just eat what I want. And so, like I say, depending on when you would have asked me in my life, I think what I've learned is like, I've swung from one end of the pendulum to the other end, like had the eating disorder, the obsessive eating, then like swung all the way over to like the, I don't care, I'm going to eat what I want, kind of like screw it all mentality. And what I have found food freedom to be is getting off that swing and finally learning how to eat in what I call empowered eating, which is balancing all of the key components of what healthy is, which to me, that means first and foremost, like knowing what you value in life and how your health fits into it. So what I mean by that is like, instead of like putting like our values and what's important to us in one category and our health in another, like I actually think they're not mutually exclusive.
Right.
They're really aligned. So, for some, it might be like, okay, well, healthy to me means I have enough energy to sustain all that I need to do in a day. Or healthy to me means being able to move with my kids and then my grandkids. Or healthy to me means overcoming some of my genetics that might inhibit my quality of life down the road. So it's getting our health aligned with those core values and then factoring in what our body says about food. So learning to tune into our body while also understanding like what nutrition science applies to us. So that's the empowered eating like model in a nutshell. So I think the food freedom piece is like doing the hard work and getting off the pendulum swing and figuring out what healthy means to us and how food fits into that.
Yes. And as you said, that is a journey, right? Because you are like intentional about, oh, okay, wow, how did that make my body feel today? Or, wow, I felt really sluggish, or I felt the brain fog. Probably my body doesn't like that. And then I really want to be like not waking up and feeling stiff, and I should move my body. And then I really need to, I love how you always talk about poo on your podcast.
Yes.
And
the poop report.
Yes. And I should hydrate more so that, like it's just really tuning in and paying attention, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always say like your body's talking to you all the time. We just have to turn up the volume. And we're so distracted with social media and what like everyone else says we should eat about food. We kind of forget to just listen to like what does our body say about it? Like I always take dairy, for example. That's a really big one where you hear people have really strong opinions.
Right.
Like, don't eat dairy. Dairy's the devil. And my response is always like, well, does it hurt? Like, does your body react to it? Because there are some people that have dairy and their gut will mess up. They'll get diarrhea. They might get some acne. Sure. Okay. Those people shouldn't eat dairy. But if you're like, my husband, and actually I'm in this category too, our bodies love dairy. It's great protein. I actually have more energy because I find I'm eating more food because dairy adds a lot of variety into my diet.
That's awesome. I love how you say, don't just eat, fuel your awesome. I mean, life is chaotic, but we've got lots of good things to do. Even though we're rushing here, there's things that we want to do. Maybe it's with our children, we're growing a business. We want to sustain ourselves for the long haul, to have resiliency and to serve and to love on the people that mean the most to us. How can we eat? How can we fuel our awesome, eat mindfully so that we do have the high energy, a clear mind, the stamina to go?
Totally. So I have this new saying, it's like, what's the mission for your nutrition? And so what I mean by that is like, when you sit down to eat, like, what is the mission of this food you're eating? What is the reason you're eating it? It's really simple. And when we can get clear on that, it can clear away a lot of the I should eat, I shouldn't eat, and just kind of get back to like why we eat. And I think, sometimes in the afternoon when you're in between business meetings or, you've got a lot going on, the mission for nutrition at lunch is energy. Like we need something to help us through the rest of the day. So having a bunch of pizza and Coke, left over from last night, like that's not going to accomplish that mission. That's going to leave us feeling super tired and like, where's my nap? So that one might need to look like more fibrous and more colorful, more fruits and veggies, maybe some more protein. Whereas like every Thursday I pick up my kids and we go get donuts. Well, the mission for that nutrition is connecting with my kids. And so I can give myself permission then to enjoy the donut and not get hung up on there's so much sugar, like this is fried. It's like, okay, well, that's not the mission here. Like the mission is for me to enjoy it. And the crazy thing about just getting really clear on like what is the mission for this nutrition is like when we give ourselves that permission to just enjoy food or just have food because it's literally fuel at lunchtime, it changes the interaction with it. So for lunchtime, for example, if I figure out, okay, the mission is energy. Now all of a sudden I'm not worried about the salad not tasting as great or maybe feeling like less satisfying because in my head, I know it's accomplishing the mission I wanted to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
And then same thing for the donuts on Thursday. Instead of feeling like I need to eat all of them because it's my last chance or I shouldn't be eating these, it's like I'm here to connect with my kids. I can do that with half a donut, with a donut, with a few bites of the different ones. Like that's
Right.
kind of irrelevant, but I'm more present. And so it prevents me from overeating.
Yeah, isn't that well, that's a freeing mindset because we can be really like shaming and say, oh man, I really shouldn't eat this donut, but I'm going to eat my
Yeah.
donut so that I can have fun with my kids. But that's
Mm-hmm.
that's totally different from saying this is our time to connect or like, oh, another salad today. I'd really
Mm-hmm.
just like the pizza. But then you're
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I'm going to fuel my body. This salad is going to, with the protein, is going to fuel my body, right?
Totally. Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
change your satisfaction factor. And there's actually some science to show it changes your hunger hormones. Like your perception of how healthy a food is and whether you want it or not will change
Mm.
how satisfied and how much your hunger hormones drop.
Huh, yeah. I love that.
Crazy. Crazy. The body's
Yeah.
so wild. So smart.
Yes, yes. But we got to tune into it, like you said. Let's talk about body confidence and what a positive body image is. How do we have it? What is the right mindset to have around our body, the beliefs that we need
I
around
love
our
that.
body?
Positive body image, I think there's some huge, like major misconceptions around it. So I think many people, and I did for a time, thought positive body image was liking my body and like
Mm,
feeling like it's where I want it to be, feeling proud of it. The actual definition, and this is like in the scientific literature of positive body image, is caring and respecting your body regardless of what it looks like.
mm,
So I think of it kind of like a relationship. Like I've been married to my husband for 17 years and we've been through a lot. There are days I love him. Well, I love him every day,
yeah.
but there are days I'm like, I like you more today than I liked you yesterday, right? Like we go through some days where we're like, oh, you're
Yes.
kind of bugging me. And the difference though, and what has helped us stay connected and married is that regardless of how I've like felt about him from the day to day, like I love and respect him on a very deep level. Like that never has gone away. And so when we come to our body and positive body image, it's no different. I could not like my body today, but I'm still going to love and respect it the same way I would on the days that I do love it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what my husband reminded me of after I had my first baby, second baby, third baby. And you really want your body to go back to the way it used to be. And he was like, yeah, but respect your body. Look at what it has done. Look at what
Been
you
through a
just did.
lot.
3 babies, right? One baby, two baby, three babies. So love it for
Yeah.
doing that for us. Yeah.
Beautiful. What a good husband.
Yeah. Well, I've had the same things where, oh, I love you. I love you so much, but I don't really like you today.
Totally. Yeah. We're all
Yeah,
human.
exactly. Jess, I would love to know what is one thing that you wish all moms knew?
I wish all moms knew just how important their role is and that like their person, their body, their soul is just as much a part of the family they are building as the family they are serving. So
Mm,
what I mean by that is like I think we as moms just naturally pour out. We pour out, we sacrifice sleep, we sacrifice everything for
right.
our family. And we are just as much a part of that family. So, in other words, like we cannot give, and our capacity to give is short circuited when we don't also care for ourselves the way we care for our family. And that's easier said than done, right?
Mm,
Because I can put my feelings in a box. I can pump some caffeine in my body and skip lunch or whatever. Like I can do that, but it's harder to tell the crying baby to wait or
right.
the hurt 9-year-old that, you can't do this right now. And so I know that's easier said than done, but what we can do is find like little ways to build in some of that self-care foundation so that as the day goes on, those little, like if we aren't able to take care of ourselves as much as we would like, it's okay because we've got some of the solid places in
Mm-hmm.
place. And so like you and I were talking before we pressed record about our morning routines.
Right.
And they kind of shift depending on the season, but that's something that I have just a ton of discipline about because to me, that morning is a gift to myself. It is like
Yes.
what sets me up to be the mama I want to be for the day. And I always laugh like I'm tired no matter what. So I might as well be tired with that extra hour to myself in the morning, you know?
Right.
But
Yeah.
we as moms really deserve that same amount of energy and effort and TLC that we give to others. And what I know happens is when we give it to ourselves, we are more likely to have a higher capacity to give it to others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what's at the heart of like when I say things like, don't just eat, fuel your awesome. Because like food is literal fuel and we need it. And to think that we are above it or could survive without it, I think is a little naive. And I say that with all the love and grace because I've been there too,
Right.
where, I thought, I don't need that. I'll eat later. Or,
Right.
I'll sleep later. And at some point it will catch up to us, which that's not the mamas we want to be either.
Mm-hmm. We have a diesel truck. I have used the example of the diesel truck when talking to my kids about fueling their body and eating the right foods and not drinking the Coke and stuff like that, because I go to the gas pump and I double check to make sure I'm putting in diesel instead of unleaded gas. I don't want to call my husband and say, I'm sorry, the truck is broke down because I put the wrong gas in. It operates efficiently and as it should on diesel. And the same thing for our body. Is this on my plate gonna fuel me and help it to operate well in all areas of our life, right? Because it's all connected.
All of it. Yeah. And I think, there's like two parts to it because there's that part for sure. Like we have to have the fuel and it's got to be quality fuel to accomplish the mission. But sometimes we also just need a hug,
Ice cream.
And yeah. And I think, we as moms actually have a major advantage because we care for our kids. And if we look at how we care for our kids, we do a beautiful job. Like we already know how to do this. We can look at him like my son, he is notorious for breakdowns when his blood sugar is low. Like we've got it figured. When he comes in and he's crying and I'll say, what's wrong? What happened? He says, I don't know. I'm like, have you eaten? We're like,
yes,
when's the last time you ate? And so like sometimes it's that, but then other times like he comes in and he's just having a bad day and he just needs a hug. And so we as moms have this amazing ability to read that in our children and give them what they need. And I think if we slow down for just a second, like we could do that for ourselves too. We already know how to do it. We just have to take a minute to give that to ourselves.
Right.
And what's cool is when we do, it's like, okay, do I need a snack or do I need a hug or both? What is it that I need here? And when we have that clarity, we show up as more present moms.
I love that. Let's talk about just some awesome foods to keep our body going strong. What are some things that we should be eating?
I am a protein princess. I just think protein is something, women struggle with. It's harder to get. We need it more as we get older. The changes in our estrogen levels change how our protein turnover happens within our muscle system. And so like where when you were under 18, you could have like 7 grams of protein and turn over some muscle. Now in our 30s, going into our 40s, we need 20, 30 gram doses to switch that process on. So I think one of the best things a woman can do for herself is get protein and figure out how can I get at least 25 grams of protein at as many meals as possible.
Per
meal. Yep. So that would look like for breakfast, that would look like their Trader Joe's has this awesome turkey. What is it? No, it's a chicken maple breakfast sausage. If y'all have
Okay.
Trader Joe's, do you have Trader Joe's?
We don't have, not in
Oh,
Ontario.
shoot.
I know. We always
Trader
go
Joe's
when
is the
we're in the
best.
States.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So y'all wouldn't have that, but you could get turkey sausage links or chicken sausage or like 2 eggs plus 2 egg whites. That would get you 25 grams of protein. I'm a big fan of protein shakes. You guys are home to Polar Joe, my favorite protein powder in the whole world.
Okay.
Is up in Canada. Yeah, so that they would be a great one that you guys could get. Yeah, so I think looking to get that 25-gram dose of protein at meals. And then if you're looking at like lunch and dinner, that would be about like a palm-sized serving of chicken or fish or beef or like a cup of beans mixed with rice. So getting that is a game changer. And when I do nutrient assessments on folks, that's probably one of the first things we look at is like, where's your protein status at? And I would say most women are sitting around like 60 grams of protein in a day, which is about half of what we need.
Right.
And that jump you will feel that within a matter of days. So I would say that's probably like one of the biggest things. And then one of the other is fiber, is getting adequate fiber from whole foods, because that's going to help with our gut health. And this is just my angle on things. I really love the connection between mental health and our nutrition, which a lot of it's housed in our gut health and how healthy our gut is. So fiber is the name of that game, and making sure this is the poop report that you were referring to. Right. That fiber helps with the poop report. And those two can really go hand in hand, because protein is phenomenal, but if we have protein without hydration and fiber, we get constipated. So we really do need to have both pieces of that puzzle.
Yeah, give us some good whole food sources of fiber.
Yeah, so anything that is naturally grown in the wild. So like whole grains, any fruit or vegetable, like especially leafy greens are going to be super high in fiber. Beans, all of those are going to offer awesome amounts of fiber.
Great. Anything else?
Seeds and nuts are another thing that you could add, like just adding some chia seeds to your oatmeal or smoothie. Adding a tablespoon of ground flaxseed is another great way to get like a little bump of fiber in there. Great.
Jess, where can my listeners find you and get your amazing support?
Yeah, so I host Fuel Her Awesome. It's a podcast much like yours. We spend more time talking about food than anything else, because that is the name of my game. So they can check out that show. I have information on some of the services that I offer over at my website, which is jessbrownrd.com. And then I'm on Instagram. That's mostly where I hang out, at jessbrownrd.
Yes, great. Well, I have loved this conversation. Thanks so much for spending time with us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Kimberly.
Yes.
What did I tell you? Wasn't that conversation great? Tell us in the comments what you learned from our conversation. Jess and I would love to hear from you. If this episode helped you, share it with another mama you know. Remember, mama, that if you want to get control of your thoughts, words, and responses as a mom, if you want to be more positive instead of shouting all the time and focusing on all of the things your children don't do, if you want to communicate well with your husband and have a happy marriage, I am all yours. Go to renewedmamacoaching.com and book your first coaching session with me. Your parenting, the peace in your home, better relationships with your children, less outbursts and temper tantrums, and a strong, positive mom mindset can be yours. Go now to renewedmamacoaching.com. I am here for you. If the Renewed Mama podcast encourages you, would you leave a review on Apple Podcasts or comment on a YouTube video? Your review helps the podcast to grow so that more mamas find it and can stay renewed too. I appreciate it so much. I'll see you next time on the Renewed Mama podcast. For more resources, visit the Renewed Mama podcast, Renewed Mama Coaching, Speak Life Badges, and Austin's Kids Club.